Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so the WBC have finally released their rankings for the month of September. Of course, we're talking about the heavyweight division. So we're going to go through the top 15 and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about some of their positioning and maybe who else should be in there in place of. So we'll start off with the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, Tyson Fury. The WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion, Dillian Whyte. Number 1, Deontay Wilder. 2, Andy Ruiz Jr. 3, Joyce. 4, Luis Ortiz. 5, Joseph Parker. 6, Michael Hunter. 7, Ajit Cabiel. 8, F.A. Jagba. 9, Filip Hrgović. 10, Tony Yoka. 11, Frank Sanchez. 12, Arslanbek Makhmudov. 13, Derek Chisora. 14, Martin Bakole. And number 15, I walk this earth like a god, Prince Charles Martin. So that is the top 15, including the champions. Now, number 3, Joyce, he's the WBC Silver Champion. And number 14, Martin Bakole, is the WBC International Champion. Okay, now, I think overall, when you look at all the other sanctioning bodies, I think the WBC have it closer to what I think most people will probably agree with. But of course, you're never going to agree totally. Boxing rankings is very, very subjective. Some people will look quite deeply into who is ranked what, where and when and to try and justify it that way. Other people will rank their favourite fighters in certain places. So you're never going to get a 100% across the board. All right, but I think for a top 15, it's not too bad. Especially when you compare it to the WBA. The WBA are complete garbage. But of course, you could look at other names and say, well, why are they not on the list? For example, would you say Derek Chisora, Martin Bakole, Charles Martin, maybe Ajit Cabiel could defeat, say, Daniel Dubois, defeat Jared Anderson, defeat Hughie Fury, defeat a bunch of others, maybe Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius, of course, has already defeated Derek Chisora. Adam Kownacki. So there's quite a few fighters there that you could probably say maybe are better than a couple of the names on here. But again, I'm pretty much nitpicking here. I am. Now, the positioning, of course, we're not going to agree on the positioning. We're never going to agree, which is Luis Ortiz, number 4. That's way too high. He hasn't justified it. He hasn't beaten anybody. And I'll say this each and every time. I have no problem with him being in the top 15, but he hasn't beaten anybody. And that's the truth of it. He's just been fighting journeymen. That's all he's been doing. Ajit Cabiel, exactly the same. He's just been fighting journeymen and gatekeepers. That's all it is that he's been fighting. Outside, again, he has fought and defeated Derek Chisora when Derek Chisora turned up to Monte Carlo with no trainer in his corner. Ajit Cabiel avoided Joyce when he was ordered by the EBU to defend the European heavyweight title against Joyce. He vacated it instead. But when you look at, say, number 8, F.A. Jagba, and number 11, Frank Sanchez, these guys are going to be fighting each other on October the 9th on the Fury Wilder 3 undercard. So that's good. For me, if you want to be in the top 15, you should fight other people in the top 15. I don't mind the odd one here and there. That's outside the top 15, of course. But you should always try and justify your position. Very few people here have justified their position yet. Has Joyce, has he justified that position? Has he defeated anybody on this top 15? You have to say no. But at the same time, a lot of people at the time had Daniel Dubois as a top 15 in the world. So again, has he justified it? You could say yes. Joseph Parker is former WBO World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, he has earned a top 15 position. Michael Hunter, he has defeated, say, Martin Bakole, but again, he avoided Filip Hrgović. He did avoid it for 700,000, was it pounds or dollars? I'm not sure. Filip Hrgović, is it a waste of a ranking as he's going down the IBF route? Arguably, because he is going to be fighting for the IBF mandatory position, which is probably why you don't see Alexander Usyk ranked here, because he's fighting for the WBO. Well, he is the WBO mandatory. Again, we could go back to Joyce and say, but isn't he now the WBO mandatory? Where's, say, Kubrat Pulev? Could Kubrat Pulev defeat any of these guys? Well, he's already defeated Derek Chisora. So shouldn't he be in the top 15? Now, we know, and of course we understand, a lot of it is based on sanctioning fees. Who's been paying sanctioning fees to get ranked? Who's enrolled in VADA, who is not? So there's lots of things to consider as to who's in the top 15. So maybe, say, the likes of Dan Dubois and Hughie Fury and Jared Anderson and a bunch of others are not ranked in, are not part of the WBC clean boxing program. Or maybe they are. Maybe they're just below the top 15 and WBC haven't moved them up yet. It's possible. Maybe inactivity is not helping as well. So there's a whole bunch of things, but I think overall it's not too bad. As I said, we're never going to agree on the positions, but I think for a top 15, it's better than the other sanctioning bodies. In my opinion, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but the WBA are certainly the worst. I think the WBC are the best as far as their rankings are concerned. So WBC are at least doing something not too bad within the world of boxing, correct? Anyway, that's my thoughts on it all. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.